I want that Broncos. I was at the facility last year for training camp, and I'm seeing Shannon Sharp. And it's so, like, the people who played for this team, the legacy, like what this team is. What is the one really specific thing that you need to see from this team this year to know they're on the right path?
The Denver Broncos?
Mm-hmm.
Oof, I think unity. I think it's one of those things they need to have unity. I think last year they had a lot of problems on the team. You know, guys maybe not playing well, getting all the status or whatever. You know, hell, I'll say it, the quarterback play. I think they need to get better quarterback play and a better team unit. I thought the defense played well, but still need to step up and really drag the team along. So I think it's just team unity. No bickering, no arguing. Everybody understanding their role and playing it to the best of their ability. And if not, sit them down and get the next guy, because it's always about the next guy up. So, that's what I think needs to happen.
Do you think they have the guy? Do you think out of Bo Nix or Stidham or Zach? Oh, no. You don't think they have the guy?
I mean, Bo Nix is a rookie. Stidham, I think, had a good stint in his, where was he, in Oakland? But, I think time will tell. I think it's a big ask for guys that come in there, especially in that city, because there's been greats like Peyton Manning and John Elway, right? So you're trying to live up to a lot of legacy there, and they want to win now. So I think that they can step up, but, in that league with Kansas City, Oakland, and Chargers, it's one of those things that's going to be a tall order for those guys right away. But I think they can do it if they really put the team behind them, and everybody else steps up and starts playing at a high level.
They haven't had a win.
Okay, I want to make fun of Oakland because you just said Oakland, but I did that in my previous video, so I can't be too hard on that. Okay, this idea that these quarterbacks have to live up to John Elway or Manning is just absurd. No one's asking for them to do that, okay? No one is asking them to live up to two of the most iconic quarterbacks in NFL history. It's one thing if John Elway was the quarterback, did everything that he did, and then like a season or two later, Manning took over and then had this prolific career with the Denver Broncos. And then that ended, and now they drafted like Bo Nix. That's obviously not what happened with the Denver Broncos, okay? So that's just an insane thing. The Denver Broncos were not able to really get anything going for years and years and years after Elway, of course. Then they got Manning. They had a couple good years with Manning, and then that ended. And even when they won the Super Bowl, Manning only did so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was part of that team, but like, come on, that was not like Manning winning that Super Bowl. So like, let's pump the brakes. And then they've been lost since then, right? They've been trying to figure this whole out. So that's not what they're looking for right now, okay? They just need a competent quarterback that can consistently execute an offense. That's what they're looking for, okay? And in modern NFL, with modern quarterbacks being better and better and better and more mature and more experienced fresh out the gate, that shouldn't be that hard to do. They should be able to accomplish that. And I think they will be able to do that with Bo Nix. You guys know I'm super high on Bo Nix. So this idea that Bo Nix needs to live up to John Elway or Manning is just comically, hilariously absurd to me. Like, I don't know where that even remotely came from. So I want to answer the question more directly, right? What are the expectations for this season? Well, I kind of already half answered it. One, it's to have an established offensive identity that they know moving forward they will be able to build off of and rely on, and even grow and attract maybe other players, whether it be other free agents, like whatever it may be. You're actually building off of the success that you had. You don't need to have immediate success this season. I think they're going to be significantly better than a lot of people will give them credit or have already stated. But they don't need to have this quick turnaround like the Texans last season where they got TJ Stroud and boom, went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Like, we're in this world right now where people think that they need to have like these instant success moments. Otherwise, it's like a failure. And that's not how every team is constructed to be able to do that. A lot of things had to work in the favor to have like a Houston Texans to be able to like hit the ground running in the way that they did. they're also very fortunate to not have the Kansas City Chiefs in their division. So that's that aspect of it. Have the offense have an identity, have people regain confidence in Sean Payton. I have confidence in Sean Payton, but a lot of the media these days, and maybe even a lot of fans, questioning Sean Payton. So to reestablish that confidence that yes, he is the real deal. Yes, he is a great and top coach in the NFL. And yes, you can trust that what he is doing is going in the right direction. Right? So again, whatever that looks like, whether that means making the playoffs, being short of the playoffs, it all depends on how the season unfolds for a lot of the other teams, right? Like if everyone's super healthy this coming season, you're not going to be like, well, they better make the playoffs. But let's say Kansas City Chiefs have cluster injuries and all go down. Well, then it's like, well, hey, you know what? Maybe them getting into the playoffs is actually what the expectations are. Because for whatever reason, and I'm not even going to say names, I don't want to put that out there, but the Kansas City Chiefs just have a million injuries, and they lost 4 games, and the first 4 games in a row. Right? That changes the expectations of your season. Now, let's say the Kansas City Chiefs are high flying and balling out, and the Texans are balling out, and the Ravens are balling out, and they're all, just balling out. Then it's like, okay, it makes everything a lot harder. So I just think that the Broncos, the expectations are to establish the offensive identity, to establish the confidence in the direction of the organization, and establish the confidence in the coach that you hired. Bo Nix doesn't have to have the most amazing season of his life. They don't need to have a 5,000 passing yards and 50 touchdowns. Like they don't need to have this high-powered, high-flying, like, oh my God, they just took us by storm type of season. I think in a lot of ways, what the Broncos should hope to be able to do is very similar to what happened with the Eagles in, say, like 2020, 2021. I think I'm getting those years correctly, where they kind of like were moving off of Carson Wentz, and they got Jalen Hurts, and then they had kind of a little bit of Peterson, and then they got Sirianni and Shane Steichen as their OC. And nobody was like, that season with Jalen Hurts, with Sirianni, like, especially it didn't take until the second half of the season when he gave up play calling to Shane Steichen. Like, that team was not blowing anyone out of the water. People weren't like, oh my God, the Eagles were amazing. I can't believe they made the playoffs with Jalen Hurts. He is him. Oh my God, Sirianni's an unbelievable coach, blah, 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 blah. They made the playoffs. They then got beat very badly by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was that. But if you actually really looked like it, and you weren't just kind of like a more like outside looking in, and you kind of were like, okay, let's see where the Eagles were and now where they got to. Is this something that can be built off of? And it was. They figured out what they needed to figure out during that season with Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Jalen Hurts. They then also realized, okay, we have an offense that we can build off of. We now know Shane Steichen is our OC. We want him to be calling the plays. That's definitely a path to success. And Jalen Hurts is a pretty darn good quarterback. He's a lot more mobile than we realize and has a really great arm. You know what? Let's go out and get him another weapon. Let's get A.J. Brown. Let's beef up our offensive line. Let's beef up our defense. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then that next season, then they blew out everyone out of the water. And then they did get to the Super Bowl and were a play away from winning the Super Bowl. And then that season, everybody was losing their minds, and people were actually taken away from Jalen Hurts and taken away from Nick Sirianni, was saying, well, of course, anyone can succeed. That roster is stacked. But the year before, nobody was saying that roster was stacked, right? Nobody was saying, oh my God, this team's unbelievable. Jalen Hurts was just too young, and that's why they lost in that playoff game against, the GOAT Tom Brady. So again, the thing that I'm really trying to emphasize is that you're just trying to set the foundation this season, if you're the Broncos, to what you can build off of. When you establish that foundation, it just needs to be a pretty solid, decent core that you can say, okay, we figured stuff out. We know what Bo Nix really can do in the NFL. We know what he can thrive in. We know some of his weaknesses. We know, okay, we need to really try to figure out how we can either work on these or really minimize this. Maybe we need to draft a specific player to minimize some of this weaknesses. Well, actually, we really know he's really great. And again, I don't want to even just throw out stuff because I don't know what exactly will end up being for him in the NFL in terms of his strengths and weaknesses. And it's just like, then you draft accordingly. You go in free agency accordingly. You make very specific decisions. It's not just like, oh, we got a good quarterback, so we need a wide receiver. Oh, we need an O-line. Oh, we need a run game. Like, yeah, we can say those things, but it becomes a lot more nuanced than that. If it wasn't, then it would be very easy to be a GM. Anyone could do it. Just be like, oh, I want the best offensive lineman that we can draft. Okay. Oh, this free agent wide receiver is available? Sure, we'll grab him too. Perfect. We have a team now. It's a lot more complicated than that. So to me, this season is a lot more exploratory, figuring those things out, but doing so in a confident, upward directional way. Which again is a less sexy answer. If you're the media trying to get clicks, or if you're maybe just like a diehard Super Broncos fans, like you want to hear they're gonna hit the ground running, Bo Nix is coming, he's gonna take over the NFL, and maybe that could happen. I'm not against that happening, but I just think the most realistic expectations are a good, slow, positive, upward trajectory, which I really think that they will do. If you've seen any of my previous Broncos videos, you guys know that I'm super high on the Broncos and Bo Nix, and think that Bo Nix is a great pick, and I think that they will be great, and I think this division moving forward is going to be very difficult. I think the Chiefs, the era of them just running away with the division is over. I really, really do, and the Broncos are going to be a huge part of that. So I'm really, really excited to see what Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos can do. And even if they decide that they want to sit Bo Nix for a year because they want to continue to develop him, I think even Zach Wilson would be able to have success with Sean Payton. So I'm really, really excited to see how this all unfolds. And I think that Denver Broncos fans should definitely be very, very optimistic moving forward. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think the expectations should be for the Broncos this season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.